Oh, we're back in Pennsylvania, and I'm really jet lagged, and the good news is I can masturbate really loudly, so I shaved all my pubes so I can do it in the new style. Citroen 2CV, I could throw this gear lever all day long.
Well, there's 2CV surrounding you, but don't be afraid of this review.
The 2CV is an air-cooled front-engine, front-wheel drive car that weighs 1,300 pounds and has a displacement of 602 cubic centimeters, making 29 horsepower. It feels like it, and it looks like it too. Oh yeah, this isn't really a full review because I'm still all messed up, but the real reviews are coming in 2 or 3 weeks. What's going on, and I'm telling you this now because I have your attention right now, is that we have 2 more USDM cars to film that we filmed before we left for the UK. So we're going to close out the last season of RCR and then get into RCR UK. So you see that we're back, and then there's going to be 2 shit. You're like, oh, why are you filming stuff in Pennsylvania? That's what's going on. The 2CV is a car of extraordinary simplicity. Now, whether that's good or not is entirely subjective in the eyes of the person driving it. You see, these little cars were manufactured by Citroen from 1948 to 1990, and they were originally conceived by Citroen vice president as a means to get French farmers off their damn horses and onto these mean streets. Yeah, I know that the production value of this isn't that good. This was originally a point of view drive, and now we fleshed it out in sort of a half review. You know when you just like you shave your junk and you haven't done it in a while and it feels just like a sponge because it's not cooling properly. I need to step number 1, cornstarch is the poor man's gold bond. Hell, 2CV name comes from a translation of the French term for 2 steam horses. The plan, after Michelin purchased the bankrupt Citroen in 1934, was to create an umbrella with 4 wheels that the rural population could afford. And this is what they came up with. In fact, you could blah blah France, blah blah eggs, blah blah plowed fields. There's your goddamn 2CV review. The 2CV offers relatively low fuel consumption and a fairly straightforward engine from a design standpoint, but the trade-off with those early generations was the low horsepower rating, which hovered around 9. While this particular car was a little road warrior in its own right, you could see how it came from that heritage. It's a modest car with a lot of character, like a wealthy, pussy-getting gentleman who finds boasting to be in poor taste. Surprising amount of legroom in the back seat. Surprising lack of safety. And you can see the wiring harness just go along in the inside of the car. There it is. Going back. I mean, the old saying about writing is, I was forced to write long because I didn't have time to write short. That's why this review has such a long... I don't even know how long this is going to be. Right? Because I'm not really editing this. Look, with that said, the 2CV's popularity is understandable in a lot of ways. Sales peaked in 1974 thanks to the oil crisis, as all roads lead back to that damn oil crisis, and about half of all automotive history is worth telling these days. But the popularity was further supported by Citroen's own endurance rallies in the 1970s. As the car not only became an economy car for young drivers, it became a fun little gateway drug into home modification. You tinker with these cars if you want to. And the simplicity of design made it so just about anybody could do it. I mean, it's weird. The thing that sits most forward on the engine is the coil. The engine itself, in this one, is a twin-cylinder, air-cooled, opposed pushrod, carbureted engine for stealing away scenester girls from their boat shoe-wearing, plaid shirt-wearing, bearded, over-it boyfriend. We don't have a Schrodinger's hipster car in the United States like this. A vehicle that both is and isn't ironic until observed. All 2CVs are soft tops. All are manual. All accelerate like my 8th grade reproductive organ watching 1995 Scrambled Vision to 30 miles an hour, and then instantly whiskey dick and torque is all gone. Interesting thing, I'm driving a 2CV. They accelerate quick up to 30, and then nothing. Nothing. They don't do crap. I mean, what do you want? You know, it's like a golf cart. It accelerates like a golf cart. Initially, quicker than you think, and then there's nothing. Even in 1990, the last year of the 2CV, you could still hand crank the engine if it was necessary. Listen up, something is leaving my top 5 best gearboxes in the world because this switch gear is light and flexible. Like the 2CV is bumping something out because this is one of the best gearboxes I ever used. The gear lever jumps out of one gear position and dives into the next of its own volition. And that's even weirder with the gear extender. Okay, when you pop the hood of a 2CV, you look at where the transmission is, there's the gear stick sticking up like a normal car. Like, there it is. But the engine is so far forward and it's so small that, I mean, first of all, you could reach right down into that engine, like if you had to, and shift the gears. It's a normal H pattern right there. But you have to then extend that into the car, which then flips everything into a weird... Okay. First of all, it has a dogleg first gear. So the gear lever inside of a 2CV doesn't go... You have to think sideways and like lean backwards. Okay, imagine if a transmission was turned on its end, like with either the flex plate or the flywheel sitting on the earth, and you're looking at it vertically. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Because it's still... The gear lever makes a 90. Wait, the gear lever goes 90 and then 90 again? Okay. The knob itself... It goes toward you and away from you. Okay, I got it. Think of an old school pinball machine. You know, you pull that lever back and let it go and shoot the ball up to the top. That's how the gear lever feels. It goes in and out. Like forward and back is now in and out. And left or right is a different left or right. It's like push left, push right. You know what? Forget everything else I said. The 2CV gear lever, you see it coming out of the dash, like directly toward you, like a pinball plunger puller. But imagine that there's an invisible line going down from it into the floor, and move it like that. Like it's there, and you'll get it. I figured out this gear shifter in about 2 minutes of just sitting and moving it. And as long as you don't think about it going in, like don't even look at it, it'll feel normal. But the second you look at it, it feels weird. So that's the 2CV. In its own way, the 2CV is a car that exists in a quantum superposition. It's deeply entrenched within its own time, and for that reason, it can exist outside. Because it's timeless in a way most classic cars on the roads just aren't. You could almost imagine a car like this on the street today, provided it had more plastic in the interior and a shinier finish, and maybe an engine that didn't sputter like the empty threats of a teenage parent. You can drive this in modern city traffic, and it's perfectly fine. And the owner dailies this. The owner drives, he's a student at the University of Coventry, or Coventry University, or however you flip it around. But every couple of weeks, he's got to drive home to London in this. He says, okay, you belong in the slow lane. Occasionally, there's going to be a lorry that's really slow and you have to pass it in this. But you gotta, if that lorry speeds up, you gotta drop back and get back into the slow lane. Remember when this car was in, when Roger Moore was driving it? That one Bond film, For Your Eyes Only, back in 81? Yeah, that had a flat 4 engine they put into it to make it go fast. I mean, they had to. Although production ended in the 80s, or 90s, 1990. The Citroen CCV, the Chrysler CCV concept car in the mid-90s was Chrysler's own admitted attempt at recreating the 2CV in America. It gives an idea of the sort of legacy this car has and continues to have. Yes, it's a weird little car, but it has personality in spades and speaks to the intrinsic desire to have a functional car that won't embarrass you and have it on the cheap. Okay, just so you're not confused, the next 2 weeks is going to be USDM cars shot in Pennsylvania. And then after that, we get into the season of RCR versus the UK. I'll see you next week.
As I take my 2 steam horses that I call the 2CV. I find I wish I were in England way more often. But this car's not even British. It turns out it's really French. But I hope that they've got something in common. I hope that they've got some